His Excellency the President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, has asked me to reiterate on this memorable occasion that Ghana stands by the Republic of Niger and all other AES countries in their quest to protect their citizenry from the criminal terrorism, the menace that currently confronts us in our sub-region. Our historical and blood ties demand that we work together to defeat terrorism and enhance trade.
They said we had no chance. To many, Burkina Faso was just a troubled name in the Sahel, defined by poverty, conflict, and unrest. When we left ECOWAS, turned down foreign aid, and chose our own path alongside Mali and Niger, we were called reckless. Political suicide, they said. But then Ghana, West Africa's stable democracy, the region's bright spot, stood with us. Not quietly, but deliberately. Through words, through action, and with clear intention. This isn't just partnership. It marks the most significant shift Africa has seen in years. Power is no longer defined by wealth or foreign approval, but by conviction. If you're Burkina Faso, once dismissed, once isolated, what do you do when a major country starts moving your way? You stay close. Because there's more to come. In late June 2025, reports from Ouagadougou and global media confirmed what many doubted. Ghana officially entered a security and economic pact with the Sahel States, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This wasn't a gesture. Ghana's foreign ministry made it clear. The aim was to rebuild regional security from the ground up, putting people and land first, not foreign interests. Ghana's move into ES, once dismissed as a bloc of coup states, marked a shift away from aid dependency toward a model of African self-direction. In Ouagadougou, word spread fast. In tea stalls, prayer circles, and classrooms, people said the same thing. Ghana sees what the world missed. But why would Ghana step into the eye of the storm? What's really happening? I wasn't surprised Ghana joined. I was surprised by how quickly. For years, Ghana was the West's model, stable, democratic, steadily growing. But pressure had been building. Trade imbalances, dependency on imported seeds, a weakening currency, and a generation walking away from agriculture. When Burkina Faso turned from the IMF, we were mocked. When we expelled foreign troops, they called it madness. But when Ghana's patience with ECOWAS wore thin, the same ECOWAS it once led, people began to ask, who really holds power in Africa? Ghana's decision wasn't an act of charity. It was a choice. Follow the old rules or make new ones. They chose the latter. For us in Burkina Faso, that was a defining moment. Not just because Ghana has ports, but because it proved something else. It's possible to break free. President Traoré once said, if no one stands with you, stand alone. But if even one joins you, a storm begins. Could Ghana be that one? The same Ghana once seen as a Western partner is now flying the flag of African sovereignty. If Ghana can do it, who's next? Here in Burkina Faso, we didn't just welcome Ghana with protocol. We felt relief. For so long, we thought we were alone. Every time we rejected ECOWAS, said no to IMF terms, or built our own security, it felt like a gamble. But Ghana had options, Western options. And still they chose our path. Not out of desperation, but because they saw what others ignored. ECOWAS no longer reflects the true aspirations of African nations. To us, Ghana is more than a country. This is a nation that once sent peacekeepers to Liberia, hosted UN summits, and welcomed global investors. So when Ghana chose IS, it felt like someone with power and dignity choosing to start over. That humility spoke louder than any speech. Now imagine this, IS isn't just 3 coup states anymore. It includes Ghana, a democracy, a coastal nation, with influence and infrastructure. That changes everything. West Africa's political gravity just shifted inland. We, who once planted rice under gunfire, now see our struggle validated. Ghana brought more than visibility to us. They brought a new baseline. Before, when we said no to France, they called it ignorance. When we created the Sahel bloc, they said it was a threat. But with Ghana in, those arguments crumble. No one can say ES is anti-democracy, Ghana proves otherwise. No one can say we destabilize, Ghana shows that real stability starts from within. And oddly enough, once Ghana joined, the narrative changed. We weren't just the coup belt anymore. We became a region testing a new African model. For the first time, Burkina Faso felt like part of history. If you're a young Burkinabe told your only future lies abroad, wouldn't you believe now that Africa can offer one too? In Burkina Faso, it's tradition. After dinner, people gather by the radio, scroll their phones, or sit under kerosene lamps to hear the news. That day, the news hit differently. Ghana joins ECOWAS. At first, no one believed it. Then everyone did. Not because it aired, but because it felt too real to dismiss. In Ouagadougou, students posted online, "History is changing." In the north, still under threat, people whispered, "If Ghana is here, the world must look again." And across the country, the unarmed defenders of our villages, teachers, farmers, parents, felt it. A real ally had arrived. Ghana's move didn't just change politics. It changed how Burkina Faso felt, from doubt to dignity, from isolation to unity. Ghana isn't just a partner. It's a sign. A signal that ES is no longer the outlier, it's becoming the model. For many young people, this is the most hopeful moment since Traoré came to power. They used to hear advice to leave. Now they carry the hope to stay. One newspaper wrote, "This might be the start of a West Africa that no longer needs anyone else." If your country was once called hopeless, how would you feel with Ghana beside you? When Ghana made it official, the first reaction from others wasn't applause, it was alarm. ECOWAS held emergency meetings. Nigeria and Ivory Coast issued vague calls for unity. But it was clear, Ghana was the last balancing weight. And now that balance had shifted. French media called it a shock. US think tanks panicked. If Ghana turns, will others follow? They had reason to worry. This wasn't symbolic anymore. With Ghana's trade routes, diplomatic ties, and credibility, the group was becoming more than a bloc. It was becoming a regional force. Now even institutions like the IMF, the EU, and the US began rethinking their approach. Because if Ghana can walk away, maybe others will too. As Ghana joined ECOWAS, the question changed from "what will they do?" to "how will the old powers respond?" ECOWAS had two choices: cling to outdated ties, or reform quickly. But reform means admitting mistakes. And for many leaders, that's too hard. Western countries were stunned. Ghana had always played by the rules. Suddenly, they weren't. Aid was paused. Investments slowed. But they missed the point. Ghana wasn't acting for them anymore. Ghana was acting for Africa. Global media adjusted. CNN stopped calling us coup leaders. The BBC asked, "Is West Africa redefining itself?" To us, it felt like justice. Like finally being seen. We weren't cheering others decline. We were proud of our own growth. In the streets and fields of Burkina Faso, people said one thing: now they must listen. How long will outsiders define freedom and stability for us? Maybe it's time we define them for ourselves. When Ghana joined ECOWAS, Burkina Faso found itself at the center of the map. President Traoré stopped seeing power as a contest long ago. He speaks often of a second wave of liberation, not just overthrowing, but building. Ghana's move wasn't impulsive. It was the result of quiet diplomacy. Not through power, but through values: independence, duty, and equality. We may lack ports, but that gives us a kind of freedom others envy. Between 2023 and 2025, Traoré made 3 moves. He deepened ECOWAS ties, joint exercises, shared intelligence, and aid to Niger. He built the ES military school in Ouagadougou. He rewrote our textbooks to teach self-reliance, not colonial history. When Ghana joined, he didn't hold a press conference. He simply said, "We don't need to conquer. We need to be strong enough that others choose to join us." That idea lifted us. A leader shaping the region without fanfare. With Ghana on board, focus turned to the foundation: education, agriculture, identity. At the military school, Traoré told the cadets, "You can't defend a land if the youth don't know why it matters." From that came the New Books, New Land program. New curriculum, not imported, but homegrown. It teaches African strategy, leadership, and farming systems. He didn't wait for aid. He began shared ecological zones, now linking 4 countries. With Ghana, inland ideas now have sea access. No ECOWAS middleman. Burkina Faso's role is quiet but critical. We proposed a Sahel currency, a Sahel-Ghana academic network, local trade in local currency. Ghana brings the ports. We bring the plans. Analysts call it the Sahel Tiger model, built not on foreign aid, but mutual responsibility. Without big headlines, ES is building something uniquely African. As Traoré said, "We're not against anyone. We just want our children to live without needing permission to be themselves." This isn't a moment. It's a rebuild from the ground up. If a dry, poor country like ours can help shape Africa's future, maybe greatness doesn't require wealth after all. 2 weeks after Ghana joined, a leaked ECOWAS memo warned of trade cuts if they leaned further into IS. Ghana didn't confirm or deny. They simply said, "We don't act under pressure. We act out of belief in a strong West Africa." That quiet statement moved millions in Burkina Faso. Ghana didn't just join. They stood up. And what happened next was even more surprising. ES leaders met in Ouagadougou. No cameras. No slogans. Just one goal: act together. We proposed a regional defense fund backed by gold and crops to support any member under pressure. We also pitched a shared banking system using local currencies. Ghana agreed and offered its digital payment tools to all. A seasoned journalist wrote, "BS is no longer a bloc. It's becoming West Africa's immune system." In fields and classrooms, people repeat the same message. We are no longer alone. In the dry plains of Kaya, where little grows, someone raised an old wooden cross. At its base was not a Bible, but a history book, new, written for Sahel's children. If God gave us the desert, maybe it was to teach us how to make it bloom. They say Ghana joining ES is more than news. It's a sign that this generation of Africans is choosing to rise, not with weapons, but with knowledge, unity, and hope. And if your children ask you tomorrow what happened today, what will you say? Is this the start of a new African chapter? If you could write the first line, what would it be? Leave a thought, a hope, a prayer in the comments. You never know who might need your words.